Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started on this episode, it's important to remember that we need to be empathetic and understanding of every single guest that I have on this show, so that way they understand that they can share this stuff without having any backlash coming from the community. I think it takes a lot of bravery for someone to come on this show and be able to tell about heart-wrenching things that occur. So please be understanding, empathetic, and supportive to my guests. If you enjoyed this content, it would really help me out if you did three things. You followed me on Twitter, you subscribed to me on YouTube, and you share out this video to any of your friends who might also enjoy this content. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Deep Dives into the Minds of Esports. Today, I have on my show an individual who's a fantastic main tank from the San Francisco Shock. Before that, his most notable achievement was probably taking a first place finish in the CyberPower PC 2017 Extreme Gaming Series Spring Invitational, or a second place finish in the 2017 Overwatch Carbon Series. Please let me welcome Matthew DeLisi, better known as Super.
Hello.
Welcome.
I'm here.
I think I got the name right. I almost stuttered there. There was a moment where I was like, I had to correct it, but I got it. So
it's okay. There've been worse.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm really excited to get into this. I think we're gonna learn a lot about you, even though you are fairly young. I'm very excited. And so, but I'm gonna start it off easy for you.
Okay.
Okay. I have two easy questions for you. Based on what I have heard so far. So you come from Philadelphia, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you have an accent that is actually, I would say, fairly pronounced.
Oh yeah?
Okay, so with that accent, did you ever get made fun of for that accent? Because
yeah, a lot. So I think that the most common thing that people like to rag on me about is my pronunciation of the word water. That's the way normal people say, or most people say, is water. But I usually say water. And people think that's really funny or stupid for some reason. I say water as in W-U, I guess DDR, water, kind of like that. And people think that's funny, and they like to make fun of me, and they're like, yeah, I don't really know what that is, sorry, and I'm like, okay, you're just stupid. But then, another thing I do, which isn't really as common, because it's kind of, it's a word that's not brought up much, is the word creek, you know, like a river flowing in a forest. Most people say creek, right? But if you're from Philly, people say crick. I don't know why that is, that's just the way God intended it to be, who knows? But that's just, you know, that's probably the two most recognizable differences in speech, I would say.
I will say the accent is very forward punching. It sounds like you would kick my ass.
Well,
when you start talking like that, I'm just like, oh my god, do I have to worry about Super beating me up?
Part of it is I woke up 3 times during the night. And I woke up about an hour ago, finally. Because I flew home from LA 2 days ago. So I'm still kind of jet lagged in a way. So it's not your fault. It's not my fault. Maybe it's a mix of everything. Who knows?
Okay, so the second thing. Really easy question. Philadelphia cheesesteaks. Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you can you make one? Or can you only buy them?
Well, are you asking if me personally could I make one?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, but the problem is you need to have. Okay, so the secret to a good Philadelphia cheesesteak, it's not the meat, it's not the cheese, it's the bread. Because if you have a really hard bread, you're ripping apart your sandwich with the teeth. It needs to just it needs to be one with the meat. It needs to come off easily, melt together with the meat. You don't want to be chewing bread. That's the big problem. Because people, they get these really rough breads that are just hard to chew, and it's not enjoyable at that point. You need a nice, soft, meltable bread. That's the key right there.
Soft, meltable bread. Okay. Can you just make it really soggy with the meat juice? Like a French dip sandwich?
I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be the same as if you had quality bread. It's not the same.
Oh my god, this should be fun. So, Can you make Philly cheesesteaks?
No, I honestly can't really cook that much, but a Philly cheesesteak isn't that hard. I mean, there's different ways to cut the meat. You could have like big slices of meat. You could have chopped meat. For me, I'd probably just do the big slices because it's easier to make. I don't really know how to, you know, cutting that close kind of scary. I don't really do that much. I might cut my fingers. I don't know.
You'll end up looking like me if you do that.
Yeah, I don't want to really. That's just. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, and then like the big thing, you just caramelize some onions. You get some meat. You throw that together on the nice bread. I mean, they're really not that hard to make. People butcher them all the time. Oh, the cheese. I mean, Cheese Whiz is a big Philly cheesesteak classic. If you want to make a cheesesteak, most places go with the Cheese Whiz. I mean, there's other options. You can get the cheddar. You can get the whatever they have there, but Cheese Whiz is pretty common. It sounds kind of nasty, but it is pretty good.
I like Cheese Whiz. It's delicious.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not that big of a fan, but if it's on a cheesesteak, it's acceptable.
So you're 18 years old.
Correct.
Okay, and you play for a professional team. But this wasn't your first stint in esports from what I have gathered, right? You used to play TF2.
I did, yeah, Team 14, yeah.
So how far did you make it in TF2?
So TF2 was kind of like, it's kind of weird for me because I played a season of ESEA Open, and then I took like a year break, kind of, and then I came back a year later. I played an Open again, and then the season after that, I went to Intermediate. So Intermediate was the furthest I got. I went to playoffs that season, which was it was okay. I mean, it's not that great, but I was friends with a lot of people in TF2 who were like an invite, so I played with them a lot. But for me, the division was Intermediate. That's where I got.
So you never got to a point where you were actually making substantial money from.
Well, no one makes substantial money from TF2. I want to be honest. That's just whether you play an invite or you play an intermediate. There's no sponsors. There's no real big prize pool. I think getting first place in invite gets you like 1,000 each. So it's you're really not making money in TF2. If you play TF2, you do it for the fun of the game, not to make money. That's just how that is.
Because I know that when I actually had Jake on the show, and he also played TF2.
Yeah,
he was with a bunch of people, so he had mentioned bringing that team over, or a lot of the people who he had played with in TF2 over to Overwatch. So
yeah,
wasn't sure how serious, because I actually never played TF2. It was not in my realm of games.
I mean, it's fun, but yeah, Valve didn't really give it. I think it has a lot of potential, to be honest, but at this point, it's kind of just not going to happen. Because like the mechanical skill required in TF2 is really high. Like there are some really crazy plays that people can make, but it just never came to be. So,
So you're 18 years old. Is this your first job?
No, I worked as a camp counselor one summer. Working with kids and stuff. So I was like, yeah, that's what I did.
Okay, so this is your second job.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you gain any perspective from that first job that kind of... A lot of times when I see like esports as a whole, especially people very young and some people who've had their first jobs, they don't really understand what jobs mean yet because they haven't had the experience. So, like I've worked in multiple different restaurants, I've worked in mental health, I've worked in jails. And then when I got into esports, I was like, wow, this like I have so much of these other things to kind of compare it to and the differences and what I like, what I don't like. What's your perspective on that compared to like that one job that you had?
Well, I think, esports is definitely more fun being a camp counselor, but I think that's kind of a given.
Children.
Yeah. But I mean, I think even like I don't think any amount of jobs can really prepare you for like an esports job, especially like an esports player, just because it's so much different than I think anything else you would ever do. Like, playing video games, it's just such like it's still like a foreign concept to so many people. Like even if you're really into esports, like you watch all the time, but you're not a player. If you become a player, it's just so different to you. So I think people. I'm not really sure if there's like a right way to get mentally prepared for the job, but I think having prior work experience really does help, because it lets you know that like there's responsibility on the line, and you have to do your part. You can't slack off, otherwise you'll just get fired. I mean, plain and simple. So,
do you think that esports is kind of put up in like a pedestal almost? Like the way it's always kind of described is like they have the best jobs in the world. It's so wonderful. And I will say that esports is definitely a very fun and exciting field. But I don't know if it, like, people realize that it is as glamorous as I think it's made out to be a lot of times. Kind of like probably with almost any industry that is entertainment.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big thing. It is a job, you know. People, like, you do have to work for it. And yeah, you are, like, at a base level, you are playing video games, but, like, it's more than that. You know, it's, like, hard work. People yell at each other. People fight with each other. But, like, just like a normal job, people aren't happy with each other all the time. You know, there are some tough times during esports, just like regular jobs. And I think the same thing could even be branched out to streaming. People think streaming is really easy, but streaming is hard. Like, to be a good, successful streamer is hard. Like, I know for me, especially if I'm an esports player, like, having to scrim every day and then wanting to stream afterwards, like, that's just impossible. And I know some other players have, like, they're in relationships and stuff, and I don't know how they'd be able to manage all three, of being an esports player, being a streamer, and, like, spending time with their significant other in a relationship. Like, it's just so much work, and I think people really don't understand the amount of work that's required to be a esports player, or a streamer for that matter. Like, it really is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it takes a lot of time, and I think it takes a lot of toll. And people, I think part of it has to do with PR, obviously, because you want to try to portray the best moments and things like, which makes sense because it is what it is. But I think people miss those moments that are sometimes like really, really hard. And Overwatch season saw a lot of them, I think, for its first year. I don't know if that's comparative to anything else. Like League of Legends was probably really bad. You probably didn't hear as much about like some of the stuff, but I mean, a lot of it came out. A lot of it was out there. People, notably, Seagull actually saying, "I'm done with this, and I'm just gonna be a streamer because it's less stressful."
Well, I think Seagull has a unique position because he already has a massive stream that he could have fallen back on. I think it's really hard to make that decision if you don't have a following like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's not wrong, especially like on a team like the Fuel, which was riddled with just internal issues last year. I don't need to get into all of them because there's a lot, but everyone knows, you know, there were a bunch of problems, and Seagull had to deal with them all. And I don't really think he was the root of the problem for any of them, but he just had to be involved with it because his team was involved with it, and that's just how it is. So I think it was really hard to be on the Fuel last year. But you know, I think Seagull, for him, he made the right decision because he has so much more freedom, and he can do what he wants. He doesn't have to worry about. He can work on his own time, his own schedule. Doesn't have to worry about anything else. So I think he made a good call.
Yeah, I think if you had a big stream like that, I could see totally falling. It's something you already built up, because you are totally correct. Everyone who I've talked to who has done streaming, it is a lot of work, and it's something that I know personally I would never be able to do because it's so much time, and especially if you're not someone who has got some fame to fall back on in order to start pulling people.
Yeah, I think like starting a stream, like I'm kind of fortunate in the fact that I already have like a little bit of a following from esports that I don't like. They already come to my stream because they're fans of my play, right? But like, if you're a streamer who's starting from ground zero with nothing, no following, like, I couldn't even imagine, because that just seems so hard to me.
Yeah. So you seem like you portray yourself as a very intelligent person, I would say. I don't know if you are or not. I think that you come across
some people would disagree, but you know.
I could think of a couple people who might. But I think that you seem like you kind of know what you're talking about all the time, and for your age especially. And I'm throwing the age out because I almost have 10 years on you.
Yeah,
it's getting pretty close to the 10-year mark on you.
Right.
And but for your age, you're very, very mature, and you seem to like kind of have at least somewhat of an understanding. Or you just bullshit very, very well. One of the two. So looking at kind of intelligence, has it always kind of been like that? Like, are you a book smart person? Are you a street smart person?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was like pretty good in school, to be honest. Um, I usually got good grades, and if I didn't, it was because I procrastinated and didn't do it. But if I did something and like I actually put my mind to it, I would usually do well. And I think when I started doing esports, my grades kind of went down a little bit just because it was like so rough when I first started. But I think we'll talk about that later, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I think for the most part, I've always gotten good grades. I've always been pretty good in school, except for chemistry. I
hated chemistry growing up.
My chemistry teacher was so bad. I hated him so much.
He hated me, so he was mean to me. So
I don't even think my chemistry teacher hated me. He hated some people in our class, but I just couldn't stand him, dude. I wanted to leave. Every time, it was my second class of the day, too. So I had first period lunch, which was like 8:30 in the morning, because that's how our school worked. You could have lunch at the first period or the last period. I don't know. But, well, because I know for chemistry that they had to have your lunch and your chemistry period next to each other, because when you had lab, it was 2 periods. So, but yeah, and then I would just, once I got past chemistry, my day was like, I was walking through sunflowers, dude. I was so happy. But yeah.
So did you always live in Philly?
Yeah.
Okay. Born and raised Philly?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like there's a song that has that as a lyric. I'm pretty sure.
Nah, I'm sure.
Pretty sure that's a Fresh Prince song. So you're growing up in Philly. Your mom and dad, are they together still?
Yeah.
Okay. And brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have one brother.
Okay, one brother. So you're growing up in Philly. Did you stay in the same school district, or did you move around a lot?
No, always in the Philadelphia school district.
Okay, what was school like growing up for you?
Well, I've only ever gone to 2 schools, which is my elementary school, which went from K to 8, and then my high school, which well, I guess technically 3 schools, because so I have my elementary from K to 8, and then I went to my high school from 9 to 11, and then when I had to move out to LA for Overwatch League, I did my senior year online, so I finished that online. I graduated my senior year online. But I don't know. School's always been. It's been school. You know, I think I always managed to make friends and get along with people. So I don't think I ever really had big problems in school, to be honest. I think everything just I kind of just went with the flow a lot of the time. So school was. I never really had any big issues with school.
Okay, so you seem like you actually enjoyed school. Did you made friends in school?
Yeah.
So you have do you have lots of like good memories about school then? Because I know for me, like school was hit or miss depending on the age group that I was in.
Yeah.
And there was times where it was incredibly cruel, and then there was times where it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, I can say that I never got bullied or anything like that. People never really made fun of me. I never got like physically picked on, nothing like that. So, I mean, you always have someone who would say something dumb, but, like, I don't really care what people say, I'll be honest with you. I just don't care. If someone says something bad about me, it's like, okay, that's cool, I guess. I think the worst thing, funny enough, that ever happened to me in school didn't have to relate with school. It was in 5th grade. I had an appendectomy. So...
What is that for all the non-medical people?
It means... So, your appendix is an organ in your body.
Yeah.
And it gets infected sometimes, and when it gets infected, it starts to like build up pressure, and it could explode in your body. And if that happens, that's really bad.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it was caught. My appendix was caught before that, so I had to go get surgery to get it taken out, and I was out of school for like a few weeks. So that was in 5th grade that happened. So that was probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me in school, which didn't have to relate with school.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So what are some things growing up that you really kind of attached yourself to? What were things that you really enjoyed? Were you a sports person? Were you a music person? Were you drama theater? Were you quiz bowl? What kind of stuff did you like growing up?
So, video games is one.
Okay.
A big fan of video games. Still am.
I would have never guessed.
Yeah, exactly. I did play some sports. I actually played quite a lot of sports. So, I think from like age 6 to 8, I played basketball. I wasn't very good at it, but I played it for like 3 years. And then baseball, I played for 1 year, and that was cut short because some kid was practicing his swings, like while like so we were batting, right? And he was practicing his swings, and I guess he got too close to me because I'm like sitting on the edge of the bench, and he's like right here next to me. So he just winds up and boom and smacks me in the jaw. I'm bleeding. I have like teeth falling out. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going back. Thankfully, they were all baby teeth, so I'm still good. But I was like, yeah, I'm not going back to baseball. That's not really for me. So I was done there, and then I played hockey until I got too old for that.
Wait, what do you mean too old for hockey?
Well, because the league that I played in had like an age limit, and then they have like a men's league. So it was like if you were in between that like certain age range, you couldn't play. So I was like, okay, I guess that's enough.
Okay. So were you kind of forced into sports, or was it something you wanted to do?
At the beginning I was, but then like when I started playing hockey, I had fun playing that. So
hockey's pretty cool. I can't skate to sit
yeah.
life though. And I live in an area where hockey is very popular.
Huh.
So
yeah.
Michigan, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, can't skate. So looking at like the sports, okay. A lot of times people like to compare esports to sports. Personally, I think it's a terrible comparison. I think there are small things you can gather from it, but it's kind of like saying that there's small things you can gather from anything into esports, in my opinion. What do you think about that idea?
No, I think it's really different at a top level of regular sports to like esports, because at top level sports they do the same thing. They practice, they do VOD review, they play the game, then they do more VOD review, and they do more. So it's like in the same sense, the same regimen.
Yeah.
Or in a similar sense, the same regimen is applied where they practice, they do VOD reviews, and then they play games, they talk about the games, they do VOD reviews of the games, they practice more, and then it's that cycle. But I think in that sense, it's like very similar.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But you know, I think, you know, obviously traditional sports are a lot more taxing on the physical.
No.
But I think esports are more taxing on the mental. Because I know last season people got burnt out hard. A lot of people got burnt out during the season, and you know, maybe I'm not really the best person to ask because I wasn't available to play for the first half of the season. But you know, I thought it was fine, but I think that's partly because I knew how to limit myself, because a lot of these players would they would get home from scrimming 6 hours a day, and then if they had to do VOD review, they did that for 2 hours that day, usually. And then they would go home and play like 5 hours of ranked. I'm like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, that's so stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To spend almost 12 hours a day, more than 12 hours a day sometimes, just to Overwatch. Like, obviously you're gonna get burnt out. Take a break. Like, sometimes, not every day, but sometimes if I would come home from scrims and I just felt exhausted, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna play Overwatch anymore. I did my scrims. I'm done. And then I would just do something else. I'd play a different game, watch some Twitch streams, watch YouTube videos. I wouldn't play more if I didn't feel like playing more, because I think that's what some of the players do. Either they have like a bad day or they just want to keep playing and they just keep going. I'm like, that's just so stupid in my opinion. Just take a break. You don't need to do all that.
Yeah, I would fully agree with that. That was one of the things that I was always very terrified of. And I would definitely recommend to some people that, hey, listen, you just need to take a break. You need to find something else in your life that is also healthy, that gives you a break from things. Because if you burn out, then you lose. Because when you eventually burn out, it is very, very hard to get that back without extended breaks. Right?
Yeah.
Like when you hit the burnout point. I think that's a very intelligent thing.
I think that's something, or I hope that's something that a lot of players realize in the off season. Like, because in the off season, people aren't scrimming; they're just doing their own thing. But then, the more the off season went on, people are like, oh man, I want Overwatch to come back already. I want to play more. And it's like, okay, good, but don't do the same thing you did last season, where you just kill your drive to play the game because you just kept going. It's just stupid.
So Blizzard has talked about, I think the dates are out, that they're planning on giving longer breaks in between seasons.
Yeah, I did see that.
So I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate, because I think this is a little bit of a double-edged sword. Okay.
All right.
When I hear that, so I think a lot of people who are very, very nice thinking, expect people to do the right thing, or like, wow, all these players are going to have more free time. Okay, now my head, which it might be because I've worked with some very, very horrible people in my life.
Okay.
Not gamers, but I used to work with like drug addicts and stuff. Like my first thought is like, wow, if I could definitely see some businesses or some organizations being like, look, we have an extra week to practice before a patch change happens that we didn't have before.
Right.
What do you think's gonna happen?
To the players?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the longer breaks are well, I don't know. To be honest, I was okay with the breaks because I know how to limit myself.
Yeah.
So usually the breaks were like, at least for us on Shock last season, so the breaks were like a week long, right? So you have a week without Overwatch League, and then the next week it would start back up. So, depending on when your last match of the day was, you would have like a break for like 4 to 5 days, right? So just no scrimming, no team activities for 4 to 5 days where we can do whatever we want. Now that's not enough time to like go home or visit family or whatever, which I think is, I don't know. I mean, I don't think you need that, but I think what Overwatch League should have done is have like, I know they do have the off season in the middle of the season. Actually, I don't know exactly how they're doing it, because I know they have the off season or the all stars in the middle of the season, like they do with like other sports. But is that like the only long break, or do they have other long breaks?
I think they were extending the breaks also in between stages to be longer.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, but I would agree with having like a long break for the all stars.
Yeah.
Because then I just feel like you're waiting too long to play, because I don't know.
It is a long time. 3 weeks is a long time.
Yeah.
Do you think that teams are going to give sufficient breaks? Because I think some teams might. I think some teams might, and I think other teams are not going to.
I think some. Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends on who's running your team. About what type of break you're going to get. I think some players will, or some. I think most teams will, though. In good faith, I think most teams will. I could see a few teams not, but that's just the way it is sometimes. So.
I hear that and I'm like, oh god, this could be amazing or it's going to be terrifying, and you don't really know what you're going to get unless you're. Yeah. Because I don't think most contracts cover like break mounts. I would be very surprised if they did.
I don't know.
They probably have vacation days in there, but I mean,
let's talk about that. Probably not.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh well. If I can find, fuck it. Who cares?
I don't think you will.
No.
I have never. From what I understand, okay, I'm not obviously writing, but the stuff that I've heard in the background is that I'm pretty sure legally required, because you're underneath an employee, you have to have vacation days in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I would like someone going in there and saying, hey, because no one knew what the schedule was last year before Overwatch happened. So I don't think anyone negotiated, hey, when these breaks happen, we want this many days off. I'd be very, very surprised if that happened.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how teams decide to take that and what they decide to do with it, because I think it could be.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there are like, if teams do team-related activities for their breaks. I think a lot of teams will do that, just because like it gives them a chance for like, it gives them a chance for content. And it gives them a chance for teams to like hang out together. So it's like 2 birds in 1 stone. Yeah. 'Cause I know a lot of players don't like doing content, especially bad content. That's like a big thing in Overwatch. Like, people, I don't know, man. Some of the content is just not good. I'm gonna be honest.
It's very cringe.
Some of the content teams do, it's just not good.
Okay. Which content teams don't you like?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not gonna tell me, are you? That's not.
Yeah.
Fun. Okay.
I mean, I think it's pretty easy to figure out which teams have good content and which teams have bad content. I think that's a very easy thing to figure out.
I almost feel like playing a game of hot and cold. I think it would be a lot more fun. So I do you think that players don't realize that they're actually entertainment figures? Because a lot of the PR stuff, I do know a lot of players do not like, and they just want to play games. But the industry is an entertainment industry. not just a game industry.
Yeah. That's another thing. I don't think people realize that. I mean, yeah, sure, like the entertainment is through Overwatch League, but it's not like that's their only obligation.
No.
And I understand, like, content, it's part of the job. Like, I mean, sports players to do it too. Like, they film segments where they talk about, like, what's your favorite, I don't know, favorite food or your favorite song you're listening to right now. People do that stuff all the time, and, like, it's just part of what you got to do. Because, like, it gives like fans like more of an outlet to connect to people as well. Like, if they just learn more about you, it's like, oh well, I do the same things too, or I listen to the same music, or I eat the same food, or I like doing the same thing. So,
what content do you wish you could see out there? Because I see the same stuff like all the time, and that was part of the reason that sparked like my idea for the show. Is like I never get to talk to people, and you never get to see this kind of stuff.
I think I really wish there were more content creators in the competitive Overwatch scene, or the Overwatch scene in general. Like, there are so few good interviews or talk shows that people do about Overwatch, and I think like that's something that's really lacking compared to other esports. Like CS:GO, there's so many things that people can talk about. Like League, same thing. There's so much different stuff. Excuse me. That people can talk about. I think part of that is like the public availability of stats. Like, that just gives such an avenue for people to talk about. But I know Overwatch League is like very closed when it comes to those stats. I remember they had like an API that was like, I think, accidentally leaked a little bit ago.
It wasn't it Winston? Didn't Winston's Lab have a ton of stat data? And there was another one too that there was like a training program that got shut down.
I think it was an API off the Overwatch League website that someone found that got leaked there, but then Blizzard like closed it off. So now all you have is like the basic stats, which is like, I mean, it's something, but it's not like it's the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people want more than that. But I don't know.
Some more content related on that.
Yeah, I think like having that stuff available would just provide such a bigger outlet for content. But here we are.
What can you do? So, looking at growing up, you mentioned that obviously you really liked video games. That was something else that you got into. Your first game you said was Crash Bandicoot, which is a little weird because that was like one of my first games too. But I am definitely older.
Well, we had a PlayStation 1, which obviously came out before I did. So, and then my brother played that, and then I played it a little bit. So it was, I think it was like Crash Bandicoot, and then I played like, oh boy, maybe it was an N64 game. I don't even remember. I remember Crash Bandicoot being my first though. Or no, then it was like Spyro. Yeah, I think it was Spyro after that, yeah.
So, everyone always, whenever I see interviews, they always ask, like, how did you get into gaming? And I won't lie, I think that a lot of times you get a bullshit answer of, when I was 6, I was playing Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. I don't think that is actually the moment where you were like, this is what gets me into gaming. So, what I found kind of talking with a fair amount of gamers now, who are very, very good, is there's generally an age somewhere between normally 12 and 16, where I would say something changed and their mindset kind of like shifted. Okay, and like the mindset of the way the mindset of the way that they kind of approach things changes, whether it's some event or something else happened. But there's normally a pinnacle moment that is actually, like, I would say, the start of a moving forward of their gaming career. When do you think that would be for you?
Well, I have to think, because the first multiplayer game I played was RuneScape. I was really young. I was like 3 years old, maybe 4, because my brother played it and I watched him play it. I wanted to play it, so he made me an account. That's actually how I got my name, by the way, if you were curious.
I saw the interviews where he's super with numbers and you decided to cut off.
Cut the numbers and I kept the name.
I try to avoid boring questions that everyone has asked you 50 times.
Yeah, so there's that. But so that I played RuneScape for a while. And then I think the first multiplayer, like the first like competitive game I played was either Modern Warfare 2 or Halo 3 on the Xbox 360. And then I played those a lot. I really liked Halo 3. I miss Halo 3, I'll be honest with you. Halo 3 was so fun.
Yeah.
Um
The Call of Duty Black Ops gives me major nostalgia for like Modern Warfare 2.
yeah. So I like Black Ops 4, it's good. But then I don't know, I think it might have been like the first time I played TF2. Because I remember I
How old are
was ooh 12 maybe? 13?
Okay.
Somewhere around there. And then I played it, I was like, this is really fun. And then when I found MGE servers, I think that was like the big turning point. But, okay, so if you don't know, if you never played TF2, MGE servers are like they're these servers, they're 1v1 servers, and basically they clip out certain different points and maps, and then they put them into the server, and then they're like different arenas that you can add into, and then it's a 1v1 in that like part of the map. They're like little small arenas, and then you just 1v1 someone until the first person gets 20, and then you win. And so people would do that a lot. I would do that a lot, really. I grinded MG, like I would do it for like hours at a time. Like this, it's just like so fun to me, like because it's like kill someone, you go right into the next person, like right into the next round against the same person. You just keep going, and it's like I think it was such a good way to like help tone your mechanical skills, and like you could like literally see yourself get better if you like constantly did it. You could like start hitting more air shots with soldier, or like your tracking gets better on scout or stuff like that. Those are the two main classes people played MG for, was like soldier and scout. So I think MG servers were like really a big part of it for me.
Okay. Was anything else happening in your life, or did you just randomly pick up a game and it was like this is a game I really enjoy?
I mean that's basically what happened. Yeah.
Okay. So another thing that I've kind of noticed is generally when someone really starts to get into gaming, there is normally declines in other areas in their life. So whether or not that's school's a big one that I say that takes a hit because people tend to procrastinate and not do things. Sometimes it's social lives. Was there any noticeable hits for you?
I mean, I did procrastinate. That's true, but like, I wouldn't say anything really took like a big hit, to be honest. I think like, I don't know. I used to watch TV a little bit when I was younger, but not anymore. I think less and less people just watch TV in general.
Probably.
So, nothing really. I mean, like I said, I procrastinate a little more, yeah, but like, it was nothing major.
Okay. Did you still like make time for like friends and stuff like that?
Yeah. If there was something I had to do, or like people wanted me to do, I would do it.
Okay. Also nonchalant. So you were able to very early on. It sounds like you were very much able to balance your life.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really. I'll be honest, like, I didn't really go outside too much, except for like if I had to like play hockey or like if people wanted me to do things. But like, so to me, it was just because I didn't go out so much. If someone asked me to do something, I was like, I guess I'll do it. You know.
Very all nonchalant.
I mean, that's just. I mean, yeah. I mean, because that's just how it is. You know, a lot of people are out all the time. So that if you're not, you might as well go out every once in a while. You know.
Did you have really close friend groups?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think I had a few friends that were pretty close.
Okay. Did they ever get into TF2 with you? Were they ever comparative?
Nah, I don't think they knew what TF2 was, most of them.
Okay, well, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're growing up, you're playing TF2. How are your parents with it? Because that's another thing that I see. Generally, some issues there, like sitting in front of a PC all the time.
I mean, I did do sports. I did do hockey, so it's not like they really cared that much. Like, because I was still doing, like, I was still moving, right? Yeah. I wasn't just sitting here all day, every day. I mean, I did that when I wasn't playing hockey, but at least I did things in the meantime, like at different times. So, they didn't really care too much. Now, what they did care about was when it was like 12 midnight, and I'm yelling, and then my dad opens my door and he just kind of stares at me. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just playing some games." He's like, "Okay, so basically shut the fuck up and stop yelling at 12 at midnight. Yeah, my bad. And you know they didn't really like that. Especially because there was no purpose for it at that time.
Yeah.
For me to be up that late. So yeah, I mean they weren't really happy when I got past a certain time. But no.
What do your parents do for a living?
My dad works for public safety for a college, and my mom is a hairdresser.
Oh, nice. Does she do all your haircuts?
She did when I was here, but obviously I'm not here, so I have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever go to like hairdressers and be like, "Wow, you really messed this up"?
No, not really. I think most of them do a pretty good job out in LA. I think I've only been to one. I think the first one I went to was like not that great. I was like, maybe not this place. But other than that, it was okay.
So I've noticed that you kind of have like a very forward kind of like attitude, and you seem to not be someone who holds things back. Would that be like a correct assessment?
Do you have an example that you would like to give?
Yeah, sure. I feel like if there was a problem, you wouldn't have an issue saying it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Does that ever get you in trouble? Does it cause issues?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I think there's a difference between like being forward and like being an asshole, you know?
That's a very true statement. I wasn't sure because like delivery, I think that you should always be able to say something, but delivery is definitely the important part of that.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sure how your delivery was. Are you a person that has struggled with that, or?
I mean, I think I've had a few bad deliveries for the, you know. So I mean, everyone does.
Yeah.
But I think if you just think about what you want to say before you say it, like, it'll be a much easier time. Than just spewing out whatever bullshit you think of at the moment. So
I think you are going to be one of the people who I just greatly appreciate moving forward a lot of the time. So that's really good. You should feel like very good. That's a very high esteemed statement from me.
Nice.
So are you critical of yourself? Because I mean, obviously the last year for Shock was not the best.
Yeah.
And you were part of that.
That's
granted,
true.
you came in towards the end. Or more towards the end. So I imagine there is some ability to maybe shift blame, but how critical are you on that?
Yeah, I mean, whenever we lost, we would always sit around and talk for a while. Sometimes people yell at each other. Like I was talking about earlier, you know, sometimes shit happens, people yell at each other. People get mad at each other. But I think when you figure out what really went wrong, and like pinpoint it, it's like easier to talk about it. And like, yeah, I've had moments where I might have like fucked up in some games, or I did something I wasn't supposed to, and I really just dropped the ball and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. But you know, those are things that we look at, and you know, I think our coaching staff is like really one of the best in the league right now. So they really help us with anything that we need help with. Like one of our coaches, 9K. He like, if you have a question or if you ask him something or like you want to look at something, like he'll make time and he'll do it. Like he's just so great. Krusty, head coach, obviously. I think he's really smart. And then we have our other coach, Junkbuck, he's also just, he does a lot more like I think behind the scenes stuff. But when he came in, because he was the first of our new coaches that came in stage 3, and he helped a lot too then. So I think if you have a supporting staff around you that's like really able to help you out, it makes it a lot easier on yourself. Especially if you have questions or like if you're uncertain, or if you know you did something wrong but you don't know what you could have done to improve. It's so great.
So looking at that, and I don't want to bash anyone, that's not really my goal. You obviously had a change of head coaches between, I think it was a stage 3 and 4. Or was it 2 and 3?
In between stage 3 and 4, yeah.
So Brad ended up leaving. You ended up getting a Krusty. I don't know how much of that was. What was the difference in their coaching styles? Because I mentioned that they're very different people. If you want to say that you preferred one over the other, I'm okay with that too. But
I think it was it was just like the whole culture shifted. Like people were more serious. We had like, because I'll be honest, like people didn't really like listen to Brad that much when he tried to talk, and like I don't think that was right. Like whether or not what he was saying was true or false, or anything that he was saying was good or bad, like no, I think especially it was like really apparent in stage 2 or stage 1 and 2. Like there was no central voice that everyone would listen to, which I think was like so bad. Like people just didn't listen, and I was like, I mean, that kind of sucks, I guess, because like there was no central voice that everyone could just focus on and say, okay, like if there was a disagreement, no one could like look at one person and say like, hey, what do you think, or how can you help us out? Like that just didn't exist. And I think that was like, it was kind of a shitty situation to be in at the time. I didn't really play. I didn't play stage 1 and 2. Sancho didn't play stage 1 and 2. I think people, whether it was right or not, really just preferred to respect us more than like the coaches, just because like they anticipated such a big change in like the way the team would be able to play when we came in. And then I think Junkbuck coming in stage 3 really helped with that, like listen to him type of thing.
Yeah. Because
people started listening to him more, and then I came in, and Sancho came in, and then when stage 4 happened, that was like when everyone actually had someone to listen to, and everyone, like when Krusty or one of the coaches talked, and everyone would like stop speaking and listen to them. And like I really don't think Brad had that opportunity on Shock, which is really just unfortunate for him. But you know,
was it a lot of pressure for you, like going in knowing that, holy God, I am considered to be one of the 2 pieces that is supposed to be the saving grace of this team?
I mean, I think Sinatra had it a lot worse than me because he's more popular than I was. Still is. Yeah. Still is more popular than I am. His salary got leaked. You know, I think his attitude when he plays ranked on stream, it didn't really help him out. But that's just that. I mean, I don't really care about that. Other people do though. So I think he had it a lot worse. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely some pressure built up. But thankfully, I won my first game, which is actually against the Gladiators. So, you know.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, yeah. But I think I was more nervous walking out than I was actually playing. And then when I got playing, I was just like in my groove. Well, at the first map, I was a little nervous. But after the first map, I kind of like calmed myself down, and then I think I did okay for the rest of the series. So, yeah.
So, but moving forward, obviously things didn't go well. Did that pressure build up on you?
I mean, we didn't make playoffs.
No.
Stage playoffs in 3 and 4. But you know, we did have a positive record.
Yeah.
Which I think is good. And stage 4, even though we had a worse record than we did stage 3, our map score was like ridiculously good. Actually, I want to look at that real quick. Because I know our map score was like so good in stage 4. It was like, I think we were 5 and 5, and we were like +7, and we had like a bigger map score than like some of the teams that were above us. Which was like, it was pretty crazy. But we just couldn't. I think we like kind of threw some games, which I think comes down to like, it came down to a few things. I think like one, I think it's stage 4, or stage 3. If we won a game, it was like pretty convincingly, and if we lost a game, it was also pretty convincingly. I think we only had like one game stage 3. It was against like the Houston Outlaws. We went 3 and 2. And we won that game. But I think part of it was not coming down. Like I didn't really have too much experience in those clutch situations or those clutch scenarios where you had to like close it out. And then we had a coaching staff change, which like it's just like a different transitioning period. And then I think a lot of that can just be calmed down to like we weren't good enough to win some of those games. Like I think it was like a mix of all 3. But I definitely felt like it was just I definitely felt improvement. And I think you can attribute that to some of me. Like I guess I don't really want to contribute it to pressure, because I think that's kind of like a lame excuse. Like if someone does bad and like a high pressure scenario,
fully their fault.
Yeah, it's like like, oh, if pressure got, it's like I don't really like saying that stuff. It's just kind of dumb.
But there is an emotional side to that where maybe you're going home and you have higher amounts of stress, and you managed to obviously manage your like workload a lot better than a lot of people did.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I was wondering is how were like those type of effects on you? Like, did you have those effects where you're like, oh God, and you worried and?
I mean, I don't know. I think the pressure is just, it's something you have to deal with. Whether, like, because at the end of the day, people are gonna talk about you. People are gonna expect things from you. Whether or not they're warranted is whatever. But it's just gonna happen, especially when you've been hyped up by your teammates and your coaching staff and people around you. So I think you can't completely not think about it, but I think there are ways that you can help push it out of the forefront of your mind. Yeah. So
fair. So Krusty moves in. Was it a better experience just because he kind of unified the team, or did he bring stuff that was not offered anywhere else? Because obviously he did really well with Boston.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both. You know, he helped bring the team together. He helped people, like, we did a lot more team stuff stage 4. Like, we all went out together more. We all went to like more team dinners. We all went to like movies or just to do other team stuff. You know, sometimes we had a break. He would like make us all go outside for a little, like, an hour break or whatever we had. So yeah, I think he really helped like bring the team together. You know, like I said, people listened to him when he talked, and I think he did have like more game knowledge that we were previously given, especially just because like we had more coaches now, so we just had more people to look at and like listen to. So I think it was just everything was much better.
Makes a lot of sense to me. So looking back now, one of the things that you had like talked about your father, and you sounded really close with him. Do you have a really close relationship with your father?
Yeah, I think so. I think me and my dad are pretty close. Just because, like, I don't know, he always helps me out if I need help, or like, if there's something I need, I can ask him. Or if I just want to talk about something, you know, he'll listen.
Okay,
and I think is, you know.
Yeah, I think that's really healthy.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
And it sounds like you also have a pretty good relationship with your mom too.
Yeah. I mean, my mom, she's definitely a little overprotective at times. Like, I remember when I first got my contract, like, she didn't want me to go because she was like scared of her. I was like, like now, like when I get the contract, and now this is what we're gonna talk about this. You know what I mean? It's like, but I mean, at the end of the day, they just both want the best for me, and I think that's like a good thing that not everyone is fortunate enough to have. So, you know, I'm thankful for that.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because a lot of like the stress in like the Overwatch season, were those two individuals, your parents, someone that you would talk to a lot, you would vent to, would you go to when things were going wrong? Because they sound like a fairly good support structure.
Yeah, sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. I think it just depended on how I felt or like what it was about. You know, if it was something more like complex, I'd usually like talk to like teammates about it. But like if it was something that they could understand, I would talk to them about it. So,
do you think that that's really important for players to have some sort of support network that they can rely on?
Yeah, because I think that like kind of contributed to some of like player collapses last season, or like breakdowns where people couldn't like, you know, they couldn't focus, or like they had just like times where they had to like get away, or they couldn't do anything like that. I think it's just because like they didn't really have anyone to talk to. So
So now another thing you mentioned kind of earlier was you were like, how could people handle streaming, playing Overwatch, and having a relationship?
Yeah.
So that kind of brings me to the relationship aspect. Do you think that it's possible to have a relationship and be an Overwatch player? Because a lot of people say no, and some people say yes. I don't think you can do all three, but
I think you could. I mean, I don't see why not. There's players in the league that already have relationships, so I don't see why you can't.
Okay.
I just think you have to be able to manage your time properly and realize, okay, well, I'm scrimming, I can't do anything with them, and if I want to go home and play Overwatch, then they have to understand. Like, I think there just has to be like an understanding there. I mean, I wouldn't know because I don't have anyone.
I was just gonna ask you. I was like,
yeah, no, I wouldn't know, but
okay.
yeah, I'm just assuming you'd have to just figure out a way to work it out. So
okay, so that brings you left school early, a year early to go for or your last year of school to go play Overwatch. Did you miss out on things that you think that you regret? So like a big one that I've heard about is like prom.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess senior year, I guess, would have been fun to do, like, in person instead of online. But to me, I mean, it is what it is. Like, would I prefer senior year or like playing video games? I know we talked about earlier. It's not just playing video games, but
yeah,
it's, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But,
your dream job.
Like,
it's still your dream job.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, to me, it's like, yeah, sure. I mean, if I was born a year earlier, it's like that would have been nice. But like, you know, it is what it is. So I'm not too bitter about it. Okay.
That's fair. I know some people have said that that's something that they kind of regret. Is there anything that you do regret, like doing growing up, that because games have been a huge part of your life? Has there been anything you're like, wow, I really wish I would have taken advantage of this? I asked the good questions.
What do you mean by that?
So maybe there was times where you could have been out doing something else, but you decided to play video games. Maybe there was family you could have visited that you.
I mean, nah. Because anytime I went somewhere like family, I always went. If we did something, I was always like, I didn't. Okay, at least when it comes to family, I didn't exclude myself to play games. Like I was always there. And if we were doing something, I would basically always be there. Now, like, I don't know. A lot of people in high school, like my friends, they would go to like parties and stuff. They would get drunk, and like they'd ask me to go sometimes. I'd be like, I don't really like. I'm not really interested in that. Like that's not really.
That's fair.
I don't know. It's not really me. So like, if they asked me to go to parties, they'd be like, maybe next time, and then. Next time, there was no next time, so...
Yeah. Okay. So you don't feel like you missed out on anything, then?
Nah, not really.
You are one of the more well-rounded people I've had on this show, which is good. I think that's good. I think it's healthy.
I try.
Do you see things in your life that you need to work on? Are there things that you notice that, hey, listen, this is something that... So sometimes people, communicating is a big one, especially looking at like video games. Communication is probably one of the biggest ones. A lot of people do not know how to communicate in a proper way. So that'd be one of the ones that I could definitely see for a lot of people. You seem fairly well at that. But are there things that you look at your life and are like, wow, this is something in the future that I would really like to grow on or improve on with your own self?
Maybe... I think, like... I don't know. I think... Even though I'm already, like... pretty... Well, no. I want to learn more about, like... This isn't really, like, related to me. Actually, it's not even, like, related to the question.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like... I want to, like, learn more about, like... I don't know. It's not even like related to the question, but I want to learn more about stocks, to be honest with you, and like investing. Because like after Overwatch League, I like if let's assume after this season I'm done, no one wants me, I don't get re-signed, that's just it, right? And like if I don't make it into like the esports industry, you know, I think like both of those things happening is kind of like far fetched. But like if it, like let's say it happened, right? Like I wouldn't really know what to do with myself. Like I mean, I have some money. I have money saved up from Overwatch League, but then like I'd have experience and stuff, but I wouldn't really know what to do. You know, I think that was kind of a problem I had like before Overwatch was even like a thing. Like I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't know what college I wanted to go to, what major I wanted to do. I think that's like a problem with like a lot of kids. Like they don't really know like what they want to do, and you know, that's just something I kind of want to get better at because I still don't really know. Like, if everything ended today, I'd be lost. Like, you know, I wouldn't know what to do. So
do you feel very? I mean, it's obviously not luck, right? Your skill is not luck, but do you feel lucky that the opportunity came in a moment where?
I mean, like, Yeah, for sure. Like esports is not like is not a traditional thing by
Yeah.
any means. So to have that like opportunity would be like it's you know it is a dream come true. But
Hmm.
um yeah, I'm definitely fortunate to have something like this.
Hmm. What do you think would have happened if you wouldn't have got into esports?
Oh, I have no idea. I'll be honest.
Would you have
I have
forced
no
yourself to go
idea.
to college?
I mean, probably because I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what else I would have done.
Yeah, it's a very odd age. Like, it's very, very odd. I know that I didn't want to go to school, and I got kind of tricked into going to school. So, which I'm
Yeah, because
grateful for
like I
now.
said,
But
I don't really know what else I could have like I can do. I mean, because I don't know about that stuff.
so, do you have any like life goals now? Because I know you mentioned one interview that you didn't really have any goals outside of Overwatch. Now, you obviously mentioned wanting to learn about stocks, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
But besides that, do you have any like goals that you would like to see achieved as far as like your life?
Hmm. I don't know. Maybe like, oh boy, I don't even know. That's
It's a
way
big
too deep.
question. It's a big.
That's way too deep. A
This will
goal?
give someone a real insight of
Oh,
super.
I don't even know. A goal, huh? I have no idea. Maybe like, dude, I don't even know. You hit way too hard with that one. I don't have any goals right now. Right now, I'm just doing me.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm just going with the flow.
It's fair. I would encourage you to look at some goals. It might be
Yeah, but
beneficial.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. You mean, I guess for me, like remembering back when I was like 18 or 19, I did not have goals either. Like I was something I was thrown into, and I was like, I don't really know what I want to do with my life. I changed a lot of my decisions in that time.
Yeah,
You don't really know till later, and then all of a sudden, like things start to become more important that normally weren't before. So like money,
yeah.
like think about paying back
Oh,
school loans.
trust me. I'm probably I'm gonna actually go on record and say that I am the best person in the Overwatch League when it comes to saving my money. I'm gonna say that right now.
So you're
I
not,
don't spend money.
You're not buying
do not-
Yeezys or whatever they're called.
I do not spend any money.
Yeah. I see people with new shoes and I'm like, how much do the shoes cost? Like $400. I'm like,
Oh,
that's like
they're more.
$380 too expensive, man.
They're way more than that, dude. Some of them are like $1,000
Oh,
too. But yeah, I don't spend my money. I pocket. I'm like, give me. I pocket that. I see the paycheck come in. I'm like, all right into the bank.
Do you have an accountant then that actually does invest?
I do have an accountant.
Okay, good. I was gonna say that would be something that I would recommend if you don't have one already.
I do.
So. Oh man, I've gotten some really good questions out of you. So I have a very light question on the end.
Okay.
It's something I've decided to start asking people. Now you've got to experience this, right? You've got to experience being in my little area for a while. It's not my ideal setup. My ideal setup is a couple of couches and maybe a grape soda or something for you and a whiskey for me. But
Grape soda's kind of nasty, but you know,
orange soda better.
not. Oh
my god, water.
Yeah, that's better.
So you've got to experience this. If you could see anyone else be on the show, okay, who would you pick?
Ooh. So what's the fullest you've had on your show? It's Jake. I know Jake has been on the show.
Yeah. Who do you like fullest in what way?
I mean, everyone that's been on the show.
I've had Nomi, Verbo,
Okay.
Jake, Mark Zimmerman from League of Legends.
Oh, okay.
Amazing from League of Legends. And then yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Who would I like to see on the show?
You can pull from any esport too. That is, the show is just Overwatch exclusive, obviously.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Huh. Let's look at the Overwatch League players here in the Overwatch League Discord. Let's see what I'm working with. Is there anyone here that I would want to see on?
And they also don't need to be active players. They just need to be involved in esports. So you could take casters. You could take.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Maybe Uber.
Uber would be okay.
I'm a big fan of Uber. I like Uber a lot.
Me too.
Maybe Bren. I like Bren too. I like all the casters to be honest. Or, yeah, I like all of them to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just all really cool people. Let's see here. Maybe huh. I don't know, to be honest. If my number one pick would probably be Uber. Yeah.
Uber? Okay. Well, I will definitely reach out to him, see if he'll be on the show. So,
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all the questions that I have. I think we've got to delve into some really cool stuff, some funny stuff, some more serious stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's a good roundabout things. I don't normally do shout outs, but if you want to give a shout out, you're more than welcome to.
Well, shout out to my parents. Shout out to my team. Yeah.
Okay. That about do it for you? Okay. Well,
that sounds alright.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Wait. Shout out to my duo partner Vol, and all the Bird Noises boys. Shout out to them. And yeah, there we go.
Okay. I'm happy I didn't cut you off there. So this has been Deep Dives into the Minds of Esports. Thank you so much, Super, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Of course.